Okay, right, that might be what we'll get. So we'll just get started. And firstly, okay, welcome. Thanks for joining us for the webinar for the BRIT 2022 Challenge. Firstly, I'm Laura. I'm an active health coordinator at university, and I am leading on the challenge this year. We've also got James, our marketing and communications manager, on the webinar call as well. So if you need any help answering any questions, then he'll be able to jump in the chat and answer some of those for you. If I can ask that as best as possible, you leave as many questions towards the end. We're going to try and leave a segment for that, because it's likely we might answer your question as we move through the slides. But if you see something come up and your question is relevant to something on that slide at the time, then do feel free to put that in the chat. So we'll get started. So firstly, what is the BRIT 2022 Challenge? So BRIT itself is a charity. It's the British Inspiration Trust, and they're a charity that supports young adult mental health and fitness in the UK, and they do this mainly through the delivery of their annual BRIT Challenge. So the BRIT Challenge itself is designed to be completed by individuals and working in teams to come together to help complete a big physical challenge. So for example, last year it was for us to travel 2,021 miles. So what have our previous challenges been like, and what are we going to be doing this year? We've got a bit of a video that will go on, and I'll talk through our challenges. So we started taking part in the challenges 2 years ago. And the first one was with our Row Britannia challenge. So that was in 2020, where we were moving rowing machines from here, there and everywhere. We even had some special visits from BBC South East, Lizzie Arnold and the Atlantic Avengers. So for that one, there you go, there's some in our sports hall, but we did move these rows all around campus. We rowed 2,020 miles. We had 1,553 rowers. And we raised £2,222 for that one. There we go, even got Rama to get involved as well. And then last year was the BRIT 2021 Challenge. So for that one, we travelled 2,021 miles as a university, and everyone was competing in teams, and it was all about the most miles and the most donations. And as you can see from some of the images that have come through, we did have a fair amount of snow to contend with. There you go. So we had 603 staff, students and alumni take part last year, and we travelled 57,471 miles, and that was in the 5-week period. We also raised £3,809, and we had 3,824 activities logged in that challenge last year. There you go, that was our BBC South East podcast for the Row Britannia. So this year we have tried to make the challenge as inclusive as possible. So this is with our Great Brit Walking Challenge. Therefore, with a bit more of a level playing field, and so those super cyclists won't be zooming past us quickly tallying up miles on their bikes. But don't fear, there'll be opportunities for any cycling, running or swimming enthusiasts to show us what you're made of. The challenge this year will also be less labour intensive for you to track your activity. So rather than manually logging your activity, we've also got an app which will show you, and that removes some of the headache for you. And also with all of the activity that you're tracking, you can get points from that, and you can redeem your points for loads of rewards and prizes that we have in our app. So the challenge this year will focus on walking, and it will be for everyone to walk 100 miles each over February. And so this will make it our most ambitious challenge yet. So why is it a team challenge if we're asking you all to complete 100 miles each? It's still a team challenge, despite this being there being an individual target, and that's all because it's about the teamwork and about connecting with your fellow friends and colleagues from across the university. You may complete your 100 miles really quickly, but your team cannot win the challenge until everyone has completed their 100 miles. And the challenge may not be over when the first team has completed, as there are still subsequent standings after that. So, and also, even if you don't complete all your miles, you might still come in third place perhaps, or depends on the positions and who manages to get where within the challenge time. So we've asked you to do 100 miles. How far really is that? So if you were to do 10,000 steps a day, you would easily complete the challenge before the last day on Friday, the 4th of March. It works out roughly about 9,000 steps for just 5 days a week. So not counting your weekends, if you did 9,000 steps, you would hit it on around about the last day of the challenge. So just some things to highlight about teams. I'm guessing you're all on here because you've entered a team or you're part of a team. But if that is not the case, then do contact us at sport@canterbury.ac.uk if you still need to enter a team or you're not part of a team. But if you are, you need to make sure you've got all your team members. So as a team captain, you'll need to make sure your team members are all signed up. You should have received a link. If you're not a team captain, please just contact whoever you believe signed up your team to the BRIT Challenge. They will have received a link and you just need to ask them to pass that on to you, and then you can complete the sign up process for yourself individually. But any problems with any of that, just contact us at sport@canterbury.ac.uk. So let's talk about Moves Plus and the platform we're going to be using this year. So Christchurch Moves is an activity reward platform. It allows you to earn points by syncing your Moves Plus app with a variety of tracking apps and wearables. And then by this, you can receive rewards, you can join challenges, and you can create groups with your friends. Moves Plus will continue long after the BRIT Challenge has finished. So it will give you more opportunities to take part in different challenges and earn more points and get more rewards. Just before we move on to go through the app, if you are maybe a wheelchair user and you are taking part in BRIT Challenge this year, please contact us on our Sport email address so we can just figure out how we can make the app work for you this year and how you can track your miles. Okay, we're going to just talk through the process of downloading Moves and how you take part in the BRIT Challenge. So this is probably the more complicated part of BRIT, but it'll be pretty simple once we've gone through the steps. So we're just going to watch a video. And make sure that you need to download it from the App Store. So you're going to search for Moves and you're going to download Moves Plus. So make sure it's Moves Plus that you select when you go to download. So some of you could do this whilst they're talking if it's easier, or just watch the steps for now. There you go. So it's Moves Plus by OpenPlay, and just download that onto your phone. Then once it's downloaded, you need to open the app and select CCCU Moves. So down the bottom, Canterbury Christchurch University Moves. So selecting our institution, you need to press allow for the notifications, and we're going to create an account because you don't have one yet. You need to fill in all these fields, and down the bottom, if you can, opt into the SMS and email. This is how you'll hear about Moves moving forwards, any of our challenges and rewards. Click create account and then wait for the notification email. This could take an hour or two, and please do check your junk. They have been a bit slow to come through. Once you receive, open the email and click the button to verify, and then you'll receive an on-screen message. There you go. And then we're going to open up the Moves app and press continue once you've verified that email. So you've got some questions here just to fill out. These are a really important part of the research at the university and will help us see the impact of the BRIT Challenge. And then you're going to move and update your profile. If you can add a picture to that, that would be great. And then you can then connect a fitness tracker. So we have Fitbit, Withings, Google Fit, Apple Health and Strava that you can connect. So 2 of those that you can use, just 3 of those on a phone. So you can't receive any points unless you've connected, and you must allow Moves to access the tracker's information, otherwise it won't work. There you go, you should get a message to say this is successful. Perfect, so we're going back onto the Moves app. This is your home page once you've got your account, showing your steps and points, and we're going to click on Explore, and we are going to go into the Groups tab. And then once you get into the Groups tab, you're going to go and look for your team name's group, and then you're going to click on Challenge. You're going to click on Join first, which is join the group, and then you're going to click on Challenges. Click on the BRIT Challenge. You're going to notice that Join is currently greyed out. This is because the challenge is not yet live. So you're going to go back in on Friday, if you download before then, and Join will now be red, and you'll be able to start the challenge. Your steps won't count until you've joined the challenge, and you'll notice the start and end dates down the bottom there that are within the challenge. Additionally, anyone who completes the challenge separate to completing his team will also get 2,022 points. And the challenge on moves is set up as steps, but we'll convert all this into miles for you. So get thinking about how you can get those steps in. I noticed a question came in whilst I was talking. Maybe if you could just, I think it was Christine, if you could just write that in the chat and James will be able to answer that for you. And we're just going to move on to the charities this year. So the funds raised through the BRIT 2022 UK-wide campaigns are aiming to provide vital support for students and young adults through existing and proactive health and well-being and mental fitness programs and services. So all funds raised are actually going to be shared equally this year through both the BRIT charity itself and through the mental health charity Mind. So how do you donate? So to donate, you're going to need to go to our GoFundMe page. This is on the BRIT landing page, and we will be sharing this throughout our social channels during the challenge. But when you donate, you're going to need to make sure your donation counts, because we have a donations leaderboard again this year. So not only are you going to be competing for your miles as teams, you're also going to be competing in the donations. So when you or any of your teammates are submitting a donation, please make sure that in the comments section, you just say what team you're from. Then we can make sure we allocate the donation correctly and make sure your team appear on the leaderboard correctly. So moving on about staying connected and touching on where you're going to hear about all the communications and the social media, we're going to need to go on to the next slide and talk about that as part of the challenge. So the easiest way for you to stay up to date with the challenge is to follow Christchurch Sport and Active Health on social media. If you search at CCCU Sport, it should come up pretty easily. We're on Twitter, Facebook, also on Instagram, and we'll also have things shared on the main university social media channels as well. Other things about staying connected. So I think a really nice message, I would say, and to help you work in the best ways possible as part of a team, is if you can set up some kind of team chat, whatever probably works for you, whether you and your colleagues or you and your friends, but you could use Microsoft Teams, you could use WhatsApp, Facebook, email. And it'll be a really good way for you to sort of check in with how your teammates are doing, maybe providing some additional support or motivation. You could arrange to all meet up together, maybe to get in some more steps or get in a walk together. But I think that'd be a really good suggestion, is to try and find some way where you can all group together on some kind of platform and just keep in touch with how everyone is doing. Seeing as you really need everyone to try and complete the challenge so that you can, in order to win. So touching on leaderboards on the next slide, we have 2 leaderboards that are going to be published throughout the challenge. So I talked about the donations leaderboard, and we will also have our mileage leaderboard, so we can keep an eye on how everyone is doing with their miles throughout the challenge. So this will normally be on a weekly basis, and the one for the miles will be published on a Monday lunchtime. So your activity up until a Sunday night will then count, and then on the Monday morning we will produce a leaderboard and that will be shared. However, if for some reason anything goes wrong with your syncing or something, don't panic, because your activity will roll over to the next week and it will just count in the next week's leaderboard and activity. If there are any issues when we come towards the end of the challenge, then do let us know and we'll be able to sort that out for you. So the best place to look for these, as you can see, is from any of our social media channels. That's where we'll be publishing the leaderboards, so you can keep an eye on how your team are doing. So I mentioned that this year is a walking challenge. However, there will be other things you can get involved with. So we will have some mini challenges. We will have a mini challenge on the weekends, and they will also count towards the BRIT challenge. So your mileage in that counts. And the first one will start from the 12th of February. There will be one each for swimming, cycling and running, and they're likely to be in that order as well. We will release specific distances and rules on this in due course, so do keep an eye on our social media and on the BRIT webpage, and we'll let you know all the rules about taking part in those. they will also appear on the app in the Challenges tab. So they won't go into your group one, but they will go into the other Challenges tab, and you'll be able to join one of those mini challenges there as well. With that, even there'll be a prize for whoever wins the challenge, but there will also be anyone who completes the challenge will get bonus points as well. So more points up for grabs that you can redeem some prizes with it in those challenges too. So I've talked about points and rewards, so we're just going to touch on briefly about how they work. So if you select, once you've got the Moves app, if you select the eye at the top of the screen on the home page, you'll be able to see how your activity is converted into points. So for every 100 steps that you do, you get 1 point. Every 1 mile that you run, you get 45 points. And then for every 1 mile that you cycle, it is 15 points. And then for every mile swum, it's 5 points. So that's how they're broken down, just so you're aware if you're doing any of the mini challenges as well as our walking challenge this year. That's how your points are being converted. And then once you basically have enough points for anything that interests you on the rewards tab in the app, you can redeem something you fancy. So we've got a couple of things on there at the moment. We have other things lined up, so do keep an eye on what are in the rewards and what you can redeem. So we're just going to move through to a couple of things around FAQs. So there are bound to be lots of questions still to come up, and whilst we are having the challenge go on, what we suggest is the best thing is to look at our FAQs. So we have the BRIT webpage, which most of you should have seen already. If not, I'm sure James will paste that in the chat for you. On the BRIT webpage, we have loads of drop downs, and they are some generic FAQs around the BRIT challenge this year. Then at the bottom of our BRIT webpage, we have a link through to our Moves webpage. Then on the Moves webpage, we have some FAQs around Moves and the app. They're a bit more specific, so maybe a bit more about tracking in your devices and points. So that's where I'm going to ask you to try and go to first if you get a problem. And then if you're unable to solve it, then do get in touch with us at our support email address, and we will try and figure it out for you. There is also to mention on your app, if you press that eye that I talked about on the home page, it's like a little eye in the top right corner, that will open up where you can see the activity that I've mentioned. But it will also have a link through to some FAQs about Moves. And then I think there's also a link to email us directly from there, and we'll give you the email address if you need to contact us. But yeah, firstly, please do check the FAQs we have on BRIT and the FAQs we do have on Moves, because they should be able to solve any of these issues that come up. And then if not, just pass them through to us. So should have been able to cover pretty much everything about our BRIT challenge this year. And really excited, we've got 2 days to go. But I wanted to open the floor really for any questions. We might be unable to unmute anyone, but what I'd ask is if you do have any questions, put them in the chat, or raise your hand, and we might be able to unmute. But we'll look through the chat as well and see if there's anything coming up that I can talk around. Let's see if anyone's typing. So I'm just reading some that are coming through and seeing if we can answer these. Okay, so I think my response to your question about Moves app as a tracker. The Moves app itself is not a tracker. The Moves app needs to be sunk with a different tracker. So you can use a wearable like a Fitbit watch or something, or you can use a tracker that you can download on your phone. So most iPhones have Apple Health, most Google or Android phones have Google Fit, and you can also download Withings onto most mobile phones. So if you don't have a wearable, then you can download one of those 3 onto a phone and use that as your tracker. But yeah, Moves app basically just takes your activity from another app, and then it will convert that into points, and it enables you to take part in challenges and connect with other people. But you do need to connect a separate tracker. Does it sync with the Fitbit app? Yes, it does. So there is Fitbit, there is Withings, there is Garmin, Strava, and Google Fit, if I'm correct. There is a list. So I'm just reading the next one. So the question just coming from Richard about your Garmin Connect. I might need to double check that a bit more, unless James knows any more on that. On an iOS. So we'll see if we can double check that for you and look into it. How I can connect the Garmin watch to the Muse app by Android phone. So we'll double check that about the Garmin. But you can also, yeah, there is a colleague, because we've been testing it, there is a colleague of mine who was using Garmin. But as James says, I think you use that through Strava. But do check on the pages, there might be a little bit more information about that, especially I think there's a link on our Moves FAQs page that links through to some FAQs that we have from OpenPlay who have the software, so they might have some more information about specifically Garmin Connect. You can use Google Fit. Perfect. Are there any more questions? We've got a couple more minutes left. Anything anyone wants to know a bit more information about? So you've got a couple of days now to just download the app. If you open it up and just make sure you can find your team is in there. We have put them all on. You need to go into your groups and into your public groups, and then you're going to need to find your correct, try not to join someone else's team, find your correct team. And then make sure you join, and then just remember that you're going to need to join the challenge tomorrow. You can do it from on Friday. You can do it from midnight, but you're going to need to join it on Friday to make sure you're in the challenge. Yeah, unfortunately, Strava will only track your activities if you do use Strava rather than steps. Okay. So try and hold fire. A couple of minutes in case there's anything else coming through, but as James said, we're going to make the webinar available. You can share this with any other teammates or colleagues, and we'll have a recording saved somewhere, so if you need to go back to anything that we've talked about. Okay, I understand that, but we made a so can't use any yeah, Kevin, great. If you are someone who does more walking, that's how you'll get more of your steps in with a different tracker, unfortunately. I've just seen the one about the email. Yes, so because the app has been developed for us and specifically for our institution, we are going to need to ask you just to use your Canterbury email address. That way we won't have people from outside the university stealing all of our teas, coffees and nice rewards. Yeah, your verification email will take potentially up to an hour or two, so please just wait that long and check your junk. If you don't have it after that, do let us know, but you can also ask for a resend. Just make sure once you press resend that you're then not going to verify your account through the email that you had previously tried to, and it had just come in late. So do try and wait that hour or two and wait for that email to verify your account. James is pretty hot on your questions coming through, just checking there's nothing I've missed. Yeah, create the password, add your profile picture. So sorry, Laura, we're counting steps in the challenge, and then what we will be doing is we'll be converting those steps that you've completed into miles to see how your team are doing, so that for each of you completing those 100 miles. However, it's actually based down to whatever tracker you sync to the app can function to do. So I use Fitbit and I count all my steps from just moving around all day, but additionally, if I log a walk, most of the time that's been syncing fine, and that will count on there too. But most apps that will, if you did steps within that walk, it won't count as double. So you then will get the steps from the walk, and then you'll get your steps from the day. But yeah, most apps will allow you to accrue your steps from walking around as well as any designated walks you're doing. Okay. Oh, they're coming in a bit quick now. Let me just see if there's anything I've missed. I find I need to open up. Yeah, so Kelly, that's correct. For some of us who've been using it just to get used to it, you are gonna, and actually this is some stuff we're gonna send out, you are gonna need to make sure you're syncing frequently enough. Apple Health is the best app to, or tracker, to link to Moves Plus. It's not to do with Moves, it's to do with the trackers themselves and how well they upload their data and how quickly it takes for them to then get it across to Moves. So Apple Health is the best one. We found Google Fit can lag a bit. However, what is supposed to happen is they are supposed to sync by the end of the week. Even if your activity or steps are out on a certain day, by the end of the week it should catch up somewhere. If you are still having issues, then do let us know. But do make sure that each day you should open your Moves app. You only have to open it and that you're opening your tracker app, and just so that it can send that data across. If you're having problems with it syncing, you can do a manual sync on your account. So I'm just looking at my app here just to double check where it is. It's on the home page. There should be, for most people, I know not everyone has this, there should be a manual sync button at the top, and that can just manually sync it if you just want to check it's coming in correctly. But as long as you've opened the Moves app that day, at midnight that night, it should automatically take across any activity from whatever tracker you're using. I think that's answered that one. Okay, I think James has answered your question, Christine. Okay, right, it's nearly past, so I don't want to go on too much longer. But is there anything else? I'm fine with doing this, but is this any way to log? I might have messaged James, might have seen this, but I'm not sure how you're logging, Karen. Sorry. If you can let us know how you're planning to log, then I might be able to answer your question. Is it about that everything? Thank you, Chantel. We're excited too. A bit more of a different process this year, but hopefully we've taken away from last year where you had to manually do your activity and write down all your miles and get evidence and then send it across to your captains, which send it to us. So this year, hopefully a bit more automation in it, and also you get prizes, so even more exciting. Right, I think we'll look at summing it up there. I know, Karen, with your question, if you want to give us a bit more detail and send us an email at sport@canterbury.ac.uk, that might be the best thing to do. If I put that in there. Go. Okay, perfect. Any more questions from anyone else? Otherwise, yeah. Okay, let's get some team rivalry going on. Good luck, everyone. And let's get out walking, see if we get any snow this year. And yeah, hopefully with the apps, it's just a bit easier to track. But yeah, you can use those apps you can download on your phones if you know people who don't have trackers. Yes, they're probably the easiest prize to get, the drumsticks to start with. Yes, I like the Fast, not Fast, just Furious team name. Yeah, so get people involved. We can get them involved in more members involved in the challenge, into teams, and don't forget the donations for Mind and for BRIT this year. That's it, Sarah, already on it. I'm more than happy to join you. Okay, right, thank you everyone. We're going to end it there. And we will have a recording of this challenge, of this webinar saved, and we can send it across to you. Oh, thank you for joining us, everyone.